Oscars Meltdown, March 27th, 2022. The night Will Smith slapped away his entire legacy.
Out your mouth!
Live at the Academy Awards, Chris Rock cracks a G.I. Jane joke about Jada's shaved head. The crowd laughs. Will laughs. Jada doesn't. And then, boom, Will walks on stage and smacks Rock in the face. Hard. A second later, he's back in his seat, shouting, "Keep my wife's name out your fing mouth," on a global broadcast in Dolby Digital. And just like that, Will Smith isn't America's Fresh Prince anymore. He's a walking Twitter meltdown. It wasn't just the violence, it was the irony. This was the same guy who'd spent 2 years preaching therapy, healing, and emotional vulnerability on Red Table Talk.
Figure out how to make yourself happy.
Now he's throwing hands over a one-liner. You could almost hear the audience's internal monologue. Wait, is this real? 10 minutes later, he's back on stage crying through his best actor speech. "Love makes you do crazy things," he sniffled, and Hollywood gave him a standing ovation. Because nothing says emotional maturity like assaulting a comedian mid-show and still getting an Oscar. The fallout came fast. Public apologies, a resignation from the Academy, a 10-year ban from attending the Oscars. Netflix shelved Fast and Loose. Bad Boys 4 was delayed. Apple's Emancipation grossed just $320,000 theatrically, despite a $120 million budget. Will's once flawless Q score plummeted, dropping from 39 to 24 in a matter of weeks. Meanwhile, Chris Rock sold out an entire worldwide comedy tour and turned the slap into a stand-up closer. Will called it a mistake made in the heat of the moment, but audiences weren't buying it. He didn't just hit Chris Rock, he sucker punched his own career. Marriage exposed. Before the slap, there was the entanglement. In July 2020, Jada Pinkett Smith brought Will onto Red Table Talk, not for healing, but for humiliation. There, in front of millions, she admitted to a romantic relationship with singer August Alsina.
You know, as time went on with August.
But instead of calling it cheating, she rebranded it as an entanglement. Will, visibly stunned, pushed back. An entanglement, a relationship. The meme of his teary-eyed face became instant internet currency. What most viewers didn't know, August Alsina was a longtime friend of their son, Jaden. He was invited into their home while struggling with illness, and somehow it turned into a situationship with the family matriarch. In one episode, Will's entire public image cracked in real time. That single video earned 15 million views in 24 hours, the highest rated Red Table Talk episode ever. But the takeaway wasn't about vulnerability, it was the death of mystique. For 25 years, Will sold America on the image of the devoted husband and father.
You know?
25 years and counting.
We died together.
Suddenly, he was the guy getting grilled by his wife while the internet added captions. Later, in a 2021 GQ interview, Will tried to contextualize it. "We have given each other trust and freedom," he said. "Marriage for us can't be a prison." Translation: we're open, we're modern, and yes, it's complicated, but fans weren't buying it. They saw a power imbalance, a man broken down by therapy speak and TikTok culture. The slap might have been the explosion, but this was the slow leak. He wasn't canceled, he was dissected. And the more they shared, the less people cared. Woke parenting, Will Smith didn't just raise kids. He raised headlines. From the start, Will and Jada made it clear. They weren't doing the normal parenting thing. No rules, no punishments, just freedom. In interviews, Will said they didn't believe in discipline, only guidance.
As a father, you do not want a circle of safety with a 15-year-old daughter.
Jada once claimed she didn't even see herself as a traditional mother. That sounded enlightened, until the kids hit the spotlight. Let's start with Jaden Smith. In 2016, at just 17, he became the face of Louis Vuitton's women's wear campaign, posing in skirts, dresses, and flowered tunics. Will admitted he was shocked at first, but said Jaden convinced him. "I'm going to trend forever, Dad." He wasn't wrong. Jaden became a Gen Z icon to some, but a walking punchline to others.
Oh my God!
The tweets, unhinged philosophy. The interviews, head spinning. He once told GQ, "If everybody in the world dropped out of school, we would have a much more intelligent society." Sure, buddy. Then came Willow. She released Whip My Hair at age 10, signed to Jay-Z's label, and then quit the tour mid-contract because she was tired. Instead of being grounded, she shaved her head, and Will publicly supported her decision. He said he was learning from his daughter's emotional wisdom. Behind the scenes, the Smiths homeschooled both kids using a private system of mystical learning through their now defunct New Village Leadership Academy. It blended math, yoga, and Scientology buzzwords, funded by Will and Jada.
We've never been Scientologists. We've never been swingers.
Never been swingers.
Never been swingers.
Reportedly influenced by their connection to the Church of Scientology. The school shut down in 2013. To fans, this all felt like Hollywood parenting gone too far. Will wasn't the relatable dad anymore. He was the poster child for progressive chaos, raising ultra-privileged kids with no rules, no boundaries, and a microphone at age 9. And the public noticed. What once felt inspiring started feeling unhinged. The Fresh Prince raised a dynasty, but somewhere along the way, he lost the kingdom. Hollywood Blacklist.
You know, and it's like I understood the idea when they say hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
After the Oscars slap, Hollywood didn't cancel Will Smith. It quietly benched him. The fallout was immediate. Just days after the ceremony, Netflix pulled the plug on Fast and Loose, an action thriller that was in pre-production with Will in the lead. The director had already left, and after the slap, the streamer didn't even pretend to recast. They just shelved the project. Sony hit pause on Bad Boys 4, a franchise that had made over $840 million globally. According to multiple reports, Will had already received 40 pages of the script, and filming was scheduled to begin within months. Then, radio silence. The studio wouldn't even confirm if it was still happening. It was later revived in 2023, but only after a year-long PR freeze. Apple, meanwhile, found itself stuck with Emancipation, a historical drama they had already paid over $120 million to produce. It was supposed to be Will's Oscar follow-up, a prestige passion project. But after the slap, the film was buried. It opened in just 1,900 theaters, grossed only $320,000, and was quietly shuffled to Apple TV Plus with no major press push.
Been black, and then it would have just threw everything else off.
Yeah, everything else would have been
I think it was perfect.
Smith showed up to promote it, but the Academy didn't nominate it for a thing, not even Best Actor. No one wanted to touch it. Then came the agencies. CAA kept him on, but offers dried up. Rumors swirled about projects Will had pitched, getting rejected outright. Directors hesitated, streamers hesitated, studios hesitated, not because of the slap alone, but because Will Smith, once a surefire box office weapon, had become unpredictable. And unpredictability doesn't test well with shareholders. From 1995 to 2012, Will Smith had 13 straight #1 opening weekends. He was the most bankable actor on Earth. After 2022, his only consistent appearances were in apology videos and memes. No announcement, no scandal, just Hollywood doing what it does best, ghosting you with a smile. Will didn't get blacklisted in a headline. He got quietly moved to the do not call list. Alpha to apology. For 25 years, Will Smith played the role of the cool, confident alpha.
Chris, I apologize to you.
Me not giving up.
He wasn't just the star of the movie, he was the movie. From Independence Day to Bad Boys to Men in Black, his whole brand was bulletproof charisma. Big smile, big energy, bigger box office. Then he swapped out the swagger for self-help. By the late 2010s, the shift was obvious. The blockbuster roles slowed down, and Will started showing up in a new genre, motivational speaker.
I'm motivated by fear.
TED Talks, therapy interviews, Instagram videos about emotional discipline. He wasn't delivering punchlines anymore. He was delivering lessons, and not everyone wanted them. In 2021, he released his memoir, Will. It covered everything: his childhood trauma, abusive father, ayahuasca trips, near breakdowns, marital implosions. He even admitted that he once considered suicide. The book sold well, but the more he opened up, the more he cracked the myth. Will Smith wasn't larger than life anymore. He was just a man trying to hold it together with spiritual duct tape. In interviews, he called his journey a pursuit of internal power. He talked about shedding ego, reclaiming peace, embracing imperfection, all admirable goals. But for fans who grew up with Mike Lowrey and Agent J, it was jarring. The guy who used to chase aliens was now crying in therapy over generational trauma. Then came the YouTube pivot. Will started vlogging, skydiving with influencers, weight loss challenges, inspirational monologues in front of mountain backdrops. The Fresh Prince was now chasing clout like a freshman on TikTok. It felt less like reinvention and more like reintegration into a world that no longer feared him or followed him, just watched awkwardly. This wasn't evolution, it was erosion. The man who once owned every July release started asking for forgiveness every time he opened his mouth. Will Smith didn't fall off a cliff. He stepped down, one teary apology at a time. Fame fallout, Will Smith used to be everywhere without saying a word. Now he says everything and no one's really listening. After the entanglement episode, the slap, and the therapy tour, Will entered his overexposure era.
Did in Hollywood that black people don't translate globally.
Oh, really?
Gone was the mystery. In its place, a non-stop stream of soul-bearing content, interviews, podcasts, YouTube vlogs, memoirs. Every platform became a confessional booth. In Will 2021, his 432-page memoir, he unpacked childhood abuse, his fear of failure, even a fantasy about murdering his father. When I was 9 years old, I
watched my father punch my mother so hard that she spit up blood.
he wrote, and I saw her spit blood. The book climbed to #1 on the New York Times bestseller list, but it wasn't the victory he expected. Critics praised the honesty, but fans were overwhelmed. The wall was down, and behind it, pain, lots of it. Then came the ayahuasca era. Will told GQ he'd done over 14 psychedelic trips in Peru. I saw my career, my whole life crumble, he said, and I had to learn how to be okay with it. But audiences weren't on that ride with him.
Didn't cast anybody in Deadshot. They left Deadshot out, right?
They were just watching the unraveling. He shared his bucket list on YouTube. skydiving with Yes Theory, bungee jumping over the Grand Canyon, losing 20 pounds for a six-pack comeback. Each video had inspirational titles like The Best Shape of My Life or Why Fear is an Illusion, but behind the scenes, he admitted to being clinically depressed and feeling lost. Will went from the most private A-lister in Hollywood to its most public work in progress, and people started tuning out. His YouTube channel stalled. Comments turned skeptical. The more he talked about healing, the more it looked like damage control. He wanted to inspire. Instead, he exposed the wires. Will didn't fade. He frayed. YouTube, Desperation. In 2018, Will Smith looked into the camera and said, "This is Will Smith, and I'm a creator now." It was his official YouTube launch. Dramatic lighting, inspirational voiceover, the kind of hype trailer usually reserved for Marvel reboots. Except this time, it was a 50-year-old man trying to crack Gen Z with drone shots and daily vlogs.
I mean, stand up.
Okay, I'm really confused by the direction.
Yeah, boy.
What followed was a 5-year identity crisis in 1080p. In one video titled "I Tried Stand-Up Comedy," Will takes the stage at a small venue after getting advice from Dave Chappelle. Except Chappelle barely appears, and Will's 5-minute set lands with the grace of a dad joke at a funeral. One punchline.
Even Jaden, like, he got this new joint, Icon. I don't know if y'all...
Will beamed like he just won a Grammy. Then came David Blaine. In a sit-down interview no one asked for, Will spends 18 minutes discussing trauma, breathing techniques, and mental clarity. Blaine teaches him to hold his breath underwater, while Will stares intensely into the camera like he's trying to summon enlightenment. The vibe? Motivational speaker meets street magician. By 2023, the Desperation hit TikTok. In a post clearly designed to smooth over the slap fallout, Will stitched a popular creator's "Bald is Beautiful" challenge. He chants into a hairbrush while pointing at the camera, lip-syncing affirmations about bald pride. Once, Will Smith commanded global premieres. Now, he's chasing relevance on platforms built for 19-year-olds who prank their siblings. The man who once turned movies into events now drops sponsored shorts between prank collabs and Instagram pep talks. He didn't break the internet. He just logged on and hoped no one noticed the algorithm was laughing. Audience abandonment. You don't always hear the door close. Sometimes it just clicks behind you and no one looks back. After the Oscars slap, Will Smith didn't vanish overnight. He lingered, tried to explain, tried to fix it. But by the time he finished apologizing, the audience had already changed the channel. He stopped appearing at premieres, skipped the Grammy Awards, BET Honors, NAACP Image Awards, events where he used to be front row, handshaking executives and hugging rappers. His absence wasn't headline-worthy, it was just expected.
And just bringing it up, I start to get teary.
Okay.
Right?
Like someone who used to live here. Even The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, once a cultural time capsule, barely gets rerun traction with him at the center. When Bel-Air was rebooted, he stayed in the shadows. Executive producer in name, ghost in practice. No press tour, no cameos, no nostalgic walk-ons, just a silent nod to a legacy no one wanted to talk about. His Instagram reels still get views, but not from fans, from rubberneckers. The comments read like obituaries for a persona. "This ain't the Will I grew up with," or "Bro used to be untouchable." And when he finally turned the camera on himself, apologizing again, softly framed in his kitchen, it wasn't redemption, it was fatigue. He said,
"Disappointing people is my central trauma."
the man who used to own the room now couldn't even hold it. Hollywood didn't exile him. They replaced him. With TikTok stars, with safer bets, with silence. He wasn't pushed off stage. He just kept talking after the curtain had already dropped. That's it. Thanks for watching. And if you like this breakdown, hit that like button and subscribe for more Hollywood Body Count, where we track every fall from fame, one flop at a time.